injury.
It's the most intimate podcast setting we've had so far.
Very nice.
It's really comfortable actually. I wish I was wearing a dressing gown. Oh, thank you.
Ooh, all right. So, how are we? Today we are joined by Rachel and Owen, both coming off of respective varsity wins. How are you feeling? Pretty good.
Top of the world.
Yeah, big time.
Pretty sore, but over the moon. Over the moon.
Should we start with hockey? Because I feel like the three of us could just chew about the rugby.
Mm.
1-0. Obviously, I'm actually asking you as well here.
Okay.
So you were telling me off air. Yeah, it was a solo goal. Apparently, they had a match winner in the name of
Cat Patch. So it was a great goal. It was like top circle, reverse hit, like one of the goals you see and you think, God, that's a goal everyone's going to remember for a long time. What was it? Third quarter? Been coming a while, but yeah, got us over the line, and then that was it. We just had to hold them off for last quarter.
Is there a video of the goal?
Oh God, yeah.
It's the best goal ever. I laugh because 1-0 is such a rubbish score, really.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so.
You could have a thread in 60s varsity. There was a 0-0 in 1965. Yeah. What a game that would have been.
It means it's hard fought though, doesn't it, Sarah?
I just want to explain why I'm laughing. Is that 1-0 just doesn't really do the whole year justice, does it? Like it was kind of a bit not anticlimactic, but like it's funny because when I would like tell my friends outside of hockey or people that don't really know the whole year and what it's been like for us, 1-0 just doesn't do it justice. So it is like, I find it funny, comical, like how simple it sounds, but how much is actually behind that.
Yeah, I think that's the funny thing as well. Is like Kat scored a beautiful goal.
Stunning.
Man of the match she got for that. But yeah, as Sarah speaks to, there was just so much work. I think for the last 2 years, really, that I've been here, seen so much work, but particularly from varsity last year, where we lost 2-0 to this year. Yeah. I think so last year we came out, we'd lost a lot of games that season, and we came out thinking we weren't going to have a chance competing. And we got in the pitch and we actually played a bit. Like they weren't as mind-blowing as we thought they were going to be. And then around the third quarter they scored and the whole team looked like, oh, that's what we were expecting. And the heads went down and they scored another one. And we've just spent the last year kind of having a completely different season to that. We've been, as Sarah says, we've been doing so much hard work. The team's like almost all the same people, but a different team. And we've been winning key games all year. So this 1-0 didn't kind of come out of nowhere. We've learned this year how to win games, and that's just been so important.
Yeah.
So did you go into the game thinking, yeah, we're gonna win this? Like who were the favourites?
I think Oxford, and if anyone looked at the stats, would say we're the favourites. They always have been. They're playing in a league above us. They are just faster, more aggressive, more scary looking. Like Mum said when they came out, she was like, I didn't think you had a chance, to be honest, because they look like the athletes. Yeah. And you kind of
do they wear sleeveless?
Yeah.
Really? You guys don't?
She was basically telling us.
Were you not there on B Dotty?
No.
She was basically.
It says a lot, really, doesn't it?
Oh, shut up, Finn.
Yeah, it does.
I was ill, I think.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I was ill. I've been ill all the time. Okay. Anyway, go
on. Basically telling us that we look B-Tech in comparison to them, and I was like, yeah, fair. I
suppose your mum knows the expression B-Tech.
She didn't say that.
Okay.
Come on, we're getting bogged down in the details here.
That's up, Ollie.
But yeah, I just had complete faith in us because I knew that we had something more than Oxford in that we kept we were doing it for each other and not just for ourselves. And like the kind of team spirit and the team bond we've had this year, I can't stress how that like allows the team to perform better, even against teams with individual better people. Like it's on games like varsity where both teams are going in nervous, like it's all to play for. It doesn't matter who technically is supposed to be better. It won't be that team because of the pressure of the situation. It will be the team that wants it more. And you can want it individually, but that won't be anywhere near 16 individual people wanting it individually will not compare to 16 people wanting it collectively.
Dogging them.
You know, I think sums it up we came out for the warm-up and we were warming up on like the B pitch, and Oxford right before us, and they were warming up in like total silence in these little rows doing lunges, no one making eye contact.
Nice.
And we came out and someone had forgot our speaker, so they were running back, and we thought, right, we all just started singing You Belong With Me by Taylor Swift at full volume. By the course we were all in like a little circle jumping, singing. I was just like, that's it. We just love playing together. Like, it's so much fun. We're such a fun team. There's like so little toxic shit that there is in so many sports teams. And I just thought that summed it up. In that moment, I was like, we're going to win this game.
Yeah.
Like, no matter what, we will pull together and win this game. I think the longer the game went on, the more that became obvious.
Speaking of a little toxicity, right? How did they take it? Because when I interacted with, met their team slightly, I'm not going to hold any punches. They were pricks, man.
Yeah.
There was a couple of them that I was thinking, right, you were the fucking worst, man.
Yeah.
How did they, especially Ketchup Girl, how did she take it? Because I
that's all we're
hope she was
calling it.
crying.
I should have done my research. I have no idea what you
I'll
were.
I saw
show
them
you-
the day before at
Yeah.
60s varsity
Mm.
because they were warming up behind us.
Were they?
Oh, because the hockey
Literally
ash was like
didn't
behind the rugby
notice.
pitch, and I saw like Ketchup Girl and the other one walking. I was like,
Was she?
"God."
I hope she was crying.
I won't tell you too much on air. Off air, I'll tell you more. But
Tell
yes,
us on air.
they were crying.
Good.
Content
They-
Good.
A lot of them were
Real
crying.
good.
One of them actually threw mashed potato at me.
You're joking.
No, I had
Was it Ketchup Girl?
No, it was a boy. Fred
Oh.
Newbold. I don't mind calling him out. And he plays for Wales. He's a bit arrogant. So Oxford in general, their whole vibe across all sports teams, whoever I speak to, is that they're just a bit toxic, rude, mean, don't have manners. And that kind of arrogance is what leads them, I think, to win quite a lot in hockey in general, because we kind of step down to that. Whereas us, we go in as like the happy, kind, nice team. And sometimes we're too nice, which is why we let them win varsity sometimes. But this year we didn't let them win it because we wanted it more. And anyway, yeah, they didn't take it well. It was great. And
Good.
Yeah.
Nice.
It was
happy.
proper comeuppance for last year, I think.
Mm.
And it was still a really exciting match. Like, it was, I think we looked more dangerous, but we had, shout out to Cathers, save an awesome one off the goal line. Emily Kim, our goalkeeper, made some absolutely excellent saves. And we had a couple that should have gone in as well. And myself on the back
you had
post.
two massive
Two
opportunities.
Three, I would say, should
Yeah,
have
that's the
absolutely gone
diving
in.
one as well.
But I think it was so end to end, because 1-0 can quite often be like a boring match. Someone puts one in and parks the bus. But I don't think that's what happened,
No.
really. I thought it was, we were pushing for the goal the whole time, and they were still pushing right to the end.
Yeah,
So I thought it was a good match.
it was great.
It's funny that you mentioned the whole sort of whoever wants it more, because, well, there's an irony to that in saying that basically what you're saying is varsity's always close. That last
Yeah.
year it didn't matter how good
Oh yeah,
Oxford were.
you haven't heard their score, have you?
Well, exactly.
Oh, big time.
Varsities are always close. And
Always
last year it didn't
close.
matter how good Oxford were. And you said the same thing in the lead up to 60s varsity. You were like, lads, it doesn't matter that on team. I think we were favourites anyway. I think we were
Yeah,
the
we
better
were.
team.
This was
You said it was going to be
this was
close
a strong
regardless.
team.
And then
Well, I think
Eoin Finn led us to a 46-0 win.
yeah,
46, the best. But
Yeah,
I'd
we
like to.
hammered
I'd
them.
like to put. This was the. I think we've double checked it. I think we're right in saying
yeah,
this.
no, it's true.
It is in the history of the Greyhounds versus 60s game the highest score margin that has ever been recorded. And there's only been a few games where a team has been held to 0. I mean, as we mentioned, there was one 0-0 game,
What a
but to
game.
hold them 46, they didn't even get close, man.
Mm,
46-0.
I think it was only our 7th win since like 1996.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
And
Is
like-
that actually true?
yeah.
Yeah.
And then on their 100th anniversary at their place, it's good fun.
Spoiled
So at
all
what
the
point in the
party.
game did you think this is done? Like
5
we've
minutes.
won this.
Kick off.
Finny just
Well, me personally, because I'm a bit negative, as the
Little
boys
bit.
can probably
Negative
attest
Nelly.
to.
Little bit.
So like, I think when we were 17-0 up at half time, I was like, if we get one more here, it should be job done. But
Yeah.
then we ran a lovely move, and like we're in, and the ball gets dropped.
Mm.
I'm not going to call him out.
Yeah, no.
You know who you are.
Yeah.
No,
And
we can even call out your man because he had an unreal
He's a stormer of a game. Like he
Yeah,
scored 2 tries
well,
or
that's
2
pretty
tries
average
anyway.
for him. It's pretty.
But then I remember turning to Ollie and I was like, if they score now, it's game on. Thankfully, they didn't.
So
Anyway.
we'd like to preface this. I think this is another big thing that kind of showed the size. It's not about the size of the dog in the fight. The size of the fight and the dog, right? We went down to 13. We had
Yeah.
4 yellow cards that game.
Three,
So
though.
for half 4,
3.
3. Sorry.
Jack
Three.
Ketch and
Cockers.
Cockers.
Cockers,
That was
Jack
it.
Ketch.
Yeah,
I
three.
thought we had one more.
No,
Right,
but
three.
two were at once.
Yeah. So we went down to 13. Didn't even get a point, mind.
Yeah.
They were playing with 2 extra men.
But I think just like going off Rachel's point and also Sarah's point, like losing a varsity is really crap.
Mm.
And like last year we were at Iffley as well.
No, mate.
No, I wouldn't know.
And then-
either.
And then like even last year, I think our team was better, but we bottled it.
Mm.
Well, this is what I was going to. It's actually I prepared a question this week.
Oh, I
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah,
Well,
mate.
Ben.
I want you to give us a law fact as well. You promised us
A law
a
fact.
week, but yeah.
Right.
No, go on, do your
Wait,
question first.
Okay, fine. I'll think about my law fact while we're talking. Question actually for the both of you. So I didn't know you'd played a part in the game last year as well. So how does it feel coming off a win, and quite historic wins, I would argue as well. In big turnaround, I've kind of like seen the scores from like previous years
loads
for
of
hockey.
losses.
Yeah, right. You talked about the loss that we'd had, especially captaining the team. How did it feel walking off the pitch, having won compared to maybe the lows of last season? Like, what were you thinking at the time?
I'm intrigued to know your answer because I have a weird.
So last year when we walked off, as I say, we almost expected the loss. So we walked off devastated, but also it was exactly what we thought was going to happen. So it wasn't surprising or anything. And I think I turned to us all, didn't I, and said, I'd still rather lose with Cambridge than win with Oxford, which I always stand by.
Quick.
This year we got to say I'd rather win with Cambridge than lose with Oxford, which also stands true. This year when the whistle went, I think especially because we'd scored the goal 20 minutes before final whistle, and then last 15 we were just holding them off, doing a bit of fiddling with the ball in the corner, that sort of stuff. Was the final whistle went, we big celebration, got in a huddle, but actually once that subsided and we walked off the pitch, I felt weird. I just kept turning to people and went, did we just win? Did we just win? Because I knew what it would feel like to lose. I had no idea how to feel once we won. And it was almost like that's all we'd been thinking about for a year as a team, was that win, was everything we'd have to do to get to that win. And just a little bit when it ended was like, oh, we did it, but what now?
Yeah.
Which I think also is just part of it not sinking in. And I think I've woken up the last couple of days with a bit of distance and gone, yeah, we won. Awesome. That's what we wanted. But I think I thought I'd be more ecstatic. But I think it's an earned win. So it shouldn't have been surprising. But I guess if it had ended more dramatically, I might have got more instant buzz, if that makes sense. Which maybe I don't know how you guys felt.
Just before Finney's answer, can I just butt in? Because I think
No.
a sort of a lack of ecstasy is what a lot of people say in a post-varsity win. And, it's the same as like, I don't know, an end of exam feeling or a graduation feeling or whatever. The one thing that I think varsity has is you've now always got that.
Yeah.
You've always got the fact that you're a varsity winner under your belt. You get to keep your jersey, presumably. You hang, you leave it in your room. Sometimes you bring it out and you look at it and you look at the number on the back of your shirt and you're like, that is what happened that day. You're a history maker. And that's the bit that matters, isn't it? Like, in 5 years' time when we're back as OAPs for me, going to watch the 60s varsity, we'll look at the list of scores and we'll see 46. And I was like, holy shit, like I was a part of that team that was, you could make a case for the greatest 60s team of all time. You guys were a part of the team that bucked the trend. I don't know whether you've lost a lot in a row or whether it's just not many.
It was the first outright win since 2015.
So you're
and only the fourth win in the last 20 years, I think.
So you're trailblazers, effectively.
Wow.
And if say you go on to win next year, I know you're not here. Are you here?
I am.
You are here. Sorry.
Where am I going?
I don't know.
Nowhere
Sorry.
quick.
That's you, babes.
Yeah, that's me. No, I'm coming back for PhD. I've decided. No, yeah, I'm absolutely not coming back. Are you here?
Depends.
Yeah.
Okay.
If we get promoted, she gets to keep playing with us.
But you're the start of that.
Yeah.
Well, this is
That
okay
era.
on that point. So I would say I completely agree with you. It was weird in that like it's suddenly ended. My reflection on that was that I felt like I was so focused on playing hockey, getting my job right, ignoring the crowd, like, running here, running there. And like I was getting a lot of chat and I was like, it takes just as much effort to like think about something as it does to like not think about something. And so once that whistle went, I run over and it's really nice that we were jumping up and down, but I kind of felt like I was forcing myself to celebrate. Like in that moment, it was just very numb.
Yeah, part of me just wanted to sit down and just reflect on it for a little bit and then go crazy
But
about
then
it.
I think also like I've done 4 years and 4 losses. I'm so used to just being like getting up and carrying on and like not deeping it too much about a loss. So like I always have a good evening. Like I don't sit and just like, oh my God, life is rubbish. Like, what is the point? Because it's just hockey at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But then it's afterwards, it's been on the Monday and the Tuesday that I've been like listening to music and thinking about, wow, what a year. We've been on such a journey. The story's amazing. The roller coaster, the training sessions where I just wanted to leave and I was tired. It's all just worth it. Like every single bit of rubbish that we went through, it's all worth it. And that kind of bigger picture feeling is unreal.
Yeah. And I think that's what I've been taking away as well. And exactly what you were saying is that I can keep waking up and keep thinking, yeah, we won varsity. Versus last year where I just had to block it out.
Yeah, no one can say that way.
Yeah.
Go on, Finney. Sorry.
Yeah.
What was
I think
what
it
were you
was
gonna say?
for me it was more relief.
Yeah.
I think when it ended, just
When did you decide that we were going to win?
I think because we scored a couple tries and I was still like, get back to the halfway, we'll chat, we go again.
But were you doing that because you were captain? Because I don't know about you. I knew like 20 minutes in.
No, for me, I was, and when we scored the 5th, I was like, that's it.
Wow, really?
Like, I was just like, keep going.
20 minutes in, I was like, these guys are gash.
Was that CJ's second, maybe?
I think, yeah, like whatever that one was. And then it was when, like, I think when I was at 9 and we had the line out near the stand, like that's when I started to enjoy it and like the chant went around. And I was like, this is good.
Pretty good crossfield kick from the
it was before that, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Oh, was it after that?
And then, but I think it was just relief, and also the people, like winning varsity is so special. Also the people you're doing it with, and like as you've all said, we've got that bond now that we've done it.
Yeah.
And you went through that all together.
Exactly.
I think it's really interesting your two different like reactions. Like one's more conservative, one's more like, oh fuck it, we've won, like quite early on. But like I think it's important though that you have different personalities in the team, right? Because you as soon as you're there thinking, oh, this is in the bag, you're probably playing with more confidence, probably more like doing things that you might have not done a bit.
So,
making bigger impacts. But like you still need someone to like
a little bit.
like bring you like ground you a little bit, because you've always got to have in the back of your mind, well, the team could make that Oxford team can make a comeback.
I said it to Finney after. I was like, if I thought we kept like a really good head, he'd take us in after every try and was like, breathe, 0-0, blah blah blah. If he'd been the same mentality as me, it would have been like a completely different story. They actually probably could have got back into the game. But I had in the back of my mind, like 15, 20 minutes in, I was like, that shit, we're going to win this. But it's probably for the best that you didn't, or the whole team didn't take the same approach as me.
It's good to have the balance, isn't it? Like I was thankful to have both approaches. One in the sense that you, Hugo, Lloyd Williams, etc., just chirp in their ear and really get in their head.
Yeah,
they
so
were
good.
They were gone.
They were soft.
For 20 minutes.
Soft, man.
They were completely soft. But at the same time, I was thankful for your, I'm not going to call it negativity, I'm going to call it realism. Just going, lads, we are not fucking done yet, because we have a job to do. Because that's when, the heads, we could be like, all right, well, let's score some flair tries. And as it happens, we did, but we only did that once the job was actually done.
Job ain't done.
I think it's also like Finn's attitude towards like maybe the lead up to varsity in general. And like, it's probably the fact that you're a fresher and you haven't had like played in one before, and also the fact you haven't lost one. Because I remember last year leading up to mine, I was like, this is so cool playing at theirs. And then like after, I was like, Christ, that feels awful. And then this year was more like, it was also like, loved the build up, great group of lads. Like training was really good, even though I got mega annoyed like every session. But
you didn't show it though.
No, you really didn't. Keep yourself to yourself.
Yeah, exactly. But I think it was like,
fucking catch the ball.
It was more like fear. Like I don't want to do that again.
Yeah.
So that's why like the relief. But then now, especially like Monday and Tuesday, trophy on my table, like it's not bad. That is it.
Do you remember the very first episode we did of this? He said he never got nervous. I looked behind. He was sat behind me on the bus, and I went, "How you feeling?" He was like, "Mate, I'm really nervous."
So it was the first time I'd ever got nervous since the. There's a funny little story behind this actually. It was the first time I'd ever got nervous before a match since my under 14 Kent Cup final when I was playing at school. And actually I was so nervous, this kid, he was like regional stroke national, I can't remember, like regional stroke national swimmer. And he was like, I've got these little caffeine pills that I have. He was like, do you want to take? He was like, I'll give everyone 2. And we were on the coach there. And I was like, yeah, okay, like nice, took them. And I was like, okay, like nice, feeling it. Felt my heart racing. And then there was a few kids, because obviously, you know, like year 9, it would have been like 14, who were like, oh, I really don't want to take this. Like, I'm a bit nervous. And so, you know, a few people like, I was like 8, 10 left. Like, what are we gonna do with them? I was like, yeah, go on. It took like, I don't know, 8 caffeine pills, and I was sat in the change room before, not nervous because of the game, but nervous that I was gonna have like a heart attack and die, because like my heart was just. I got on the pitch and I was like running around like a headless chicken, and we won. I don't remember much of the game all the way home, but I slept for like a day and a half.
Just from the come down.
Yeah,
afterwards I felt like I'd been run over by a train. And it was worse because I think I was benched for the start of the game.
No.
So I sat on the
with all
bench
that
like,
energy.
just watching away.
My coach was like, what the fuck is this kid taking? But yeah, I was real cool for the game. I was telling him I was real cool, like in the weeks before.
I think we were all like cool in the warm up, and as Rachel said, even when you warm up, like singing a bit of T Swift, like just like relaxed and enjoying it.
We didn't sing T Swift.
No, we didn't. We probably should have.
Yeah, we should have.
But then like it was like we were doing a warm up with the backs, got thrown the wrong pass first move.
Yeah.
And like usually it'd be right, flip the chair, have an absolute go at the bloke, but it was just like, it's all right. We go again. And I think that was it. We just stayed nice and calm.
That's when I knew you were on today as well. Today, on that day, is when that wrong pass got thrown, because usually you'd be like, fucking hell, lads, let's get it right. And he just went, that's fine. I was like, you know what? Whatever happens today, it is fine.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
I think the difference to a varsity there, and actually I'm going to preach a little bit here, this is universal advice, is, you know, you're building towards this performance throughout the course of the year. And that's why, you know, it's maybe okay to get annoyed when shit goes wrong, because, you know, that's what you're trying to peak for. And the less that shit goes wrong, the less it's likely to go wrong on the day. But I think you'd accepted that shit was going to go wrong on the day. And as a result, you know, people weren't getting annoyed about it. And people were just like, you know what? Build back up the next thing that matters. It doesn't matter how we get the job done. As a result, we ended up getting the job done in the best way possible. You know, that's quite often the way.
Exactly. I think we want to prep as well as we can. And like, as Sarah said, like the journey you go through the season, when it's like when you're training like the back pitches on a dark Monday, it's lashing with rain. Like, why? Like, what am I doing? But then when you win, and you feel the relief, and then eventually you're like, that's quite good, that, isn't it?
Yeah.
On the bus back. Or
Yeah, it was worth it.
Yeah, it was worth it.
Everything was worth
It was
it.
good.
Yeah.
Worth it.
Wouldn't have changed a single bit of it. It was
It's
good.
funny you said about the nerves. I think like the Taylor Swift thing might just sound a bit silly, but remember the roly-poly stuff that you did a few episodes ago before game?
I wasn't doing roly-polies in the episode.
Yeah.
But
You can
before
if
the
you want.
game.
I'd
be a
be
bit of a
okay with
hassle.
it. All right.
Yeah.
But I think like if you're just left alone with your thoughts, especially just before like a game and you're sat on the bus, of course your mind's going to run, because that's the next imminent thing you're about to do. Hence why the nerves are pretty natural to come along. But then if you're not deeping it too much, it's at the end of the day, it feels like a big game because you're thinking about it. But then I was telling Molly, our ex-captain, about this. I was putting things into perspective, being like, well, at the end of the day, this might sound really drastic, but like there are bigger problems in the world. Nobody really is caring about my game of hockey. It's really not. This is actually all just a bit of fun. And it's actually my responsibility to enjoy this and appreciate this and be grateful for this even, because so many people don't get an opportunity to do something like a varsity game and get to experience the coolness of it, which is what it is really, not this scary thing. And it's okay, obviously. So that really helped. And the Taylor Swift thing, I had some Oxford people message me afterwards, be like, yeah, we were all really rattled when you started dancing and singing around. And I was like, that's exactly the effect we wanted. To go, because they walk out with confidence by being like all strong and powerful and athletic and vests. And we were strong and powerful by being weird and silly and cute and wholesome and
together.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there was one bloke from their team. I won't say who it was, but like a few people will know. He'd been playing blues the whole season for them, and in the last match got dropped down to the Greyhounds. So he was a bit pissed off, and he could have done one of two things. There was a few lads from our team that happened to, and you can do one of two things. You can either do A, I'm gonna like play my socks off and try and like prove to them that I should have been in the team, or B, you can do his approach where he rocked up late, chopped half a tin, wouldn't talk to anyone, and then went into the game, and he was fucking gash.
Useless, yeah.
He was useless as a chocolate teapot, bless him. He was fucking awful.
What a tone.
But like we kind of saw that was their kind of warm up. And they didn't look anything special in the warm up either. I think they were pretty confident. You got to be on your 100th year anniversary.
It's the arrogance, though, isn't it?
Yeah. Whereas you said it. You were like, their 100th year anniversary. We're playing at their gaff. They're going to have loads of people down to support. I've got nothing to lose, really. Just go out there and play. I think in the end, it kind of showed. It was like everyone just kind of played for each other. Just like pretty good day. Whereas then you had, people like him who just didn't really give a fuck.
Yeah, how miserable and like disappointing for any of his teammates though. Like to see someone rock up and do that, very much, it might be funny. They might laugh a little bit, but really in the back of their mind, it's like, well, this doesn't mean a lot. Or like he doesn't really care that much. That's what it actually is doing.
Yeah. And that's the reality is someone probably got dropped so he could play. If he was playing Blues the whole season. And that's the thing I always think is, some people might be annoyed because they're not starting on a Blues game, or some people might be annoyed because they don't make a bench and they're on the twos, and some people are annoyed because they don't make the twos, the whole way down. There's always someone who would die to be in your position, whether that's on a Blues bench, whether that's on a starting twos game, a fours game, whatever it is. Our club's completely oversubscribed. We have 20 people that don't make the start of the Rovers game. So it's just like being part of a varsity is the exciting bit, wherever you are, wherever that is for you, especially, for us in hockey, it's rolling subs. So wherever you start, you're on in 5 minutes. And I think that's the attitude we were all trying to take, exactly as you say, is that it's a privilege to get to play. And so when you get there, it's your duty to play and enjoy it, and whatever happens will follow.
Yeah.
Retweet. Yeah. I think me shivers. You're horrible.
Would you like to know a law fact?
Yeah, go on.
You're legally allowed to kill your husband in Hong Kong with your bare hands if he cheats on you.
Really? Is it?
Only with your bare hands.
What counts as cheating?
If he's adulterous.
Okay.
Does a kiss count as cheating?
Yeah, well, exactly.
Well, I'm not a lawyer in Hong Kong, but I suppose that would be a question.
That is a really interesting fact, though.
Thank you.
Thanks, Finn. Anyway,
you asked. I don't know. I don't even remember making that promise last week.
No, you didn't. You made it in week 1.
Yeah,
you haven't had one since. Going back to the T Swift stuff, I think there's a mental freedom that kind of provides, isn't there? And I think you can think about it in a professional context as well. I can think of 3 famous examples. You guys will know 2 of them. Manu Tuorangi grinning at the Hacker in 2012.
Oh, yeah.
Have you seen that?
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's iconic because it's this scary war dance by 50 or 23 of the most intimidating human beings you can find. You see this England bloke standing there just grinning and licking his lip. He goes and does a job on them. Owen Farrell doing the same thing in the 2019 World Cup.
Farrell
and he was
was
captain
great
at the time. And it's like you could just see that he knew that he was, not being afraid of losing. Hi, Bowser.
Hello.
How are you?
Yeah, good.
Yeah, very good, mate.
It's pretty good.
All the better for having you in it.
I'm not.
Cheers, Biles.
And the third example, I think it's even more sort of relevant in terms of a state of mind in a team, not just in one game, but throughout, is the England cricket team. They've been engineered now. You're looking at me blankly, so I'm guessing you're not massive followers.
I'm doing like cricket now.
ODI?
No. Test team. Yeah. Brendan McCullum. Bazball. Brendan McCullum's come in, and he's basically been, a team that had won once in 17 tests.
Yeah.
1 in 17 is pretty shambolic, especially as England's supposed to be quite good. All of a sudden, they won 10 out of their next 11 as soon as they changed coaches, because the coach was just like, let's just not fear losing.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, if you play with a smile on your face and you do silly things like, Taylor Swift or roly-polies before kickoff, or...
It's enjoyment, isn't it?
Yeah, enjoyment. And if you fear losing, you're much less likely to actually lose. You'll perform better. You'll play with confidence. You'll play with freedom. You'll execute. You'll have a clearer mind. Losing's not that scary, is it?
No, I don't know.
No, I
exactly. and you're fine. Just about.
I think it is scary when you have a season that's geared around just one game.
Yeah.
I wouldn't care about losing to UEA or losing to Leicester.
Well, like not like we did.
We did use to Louis.
But losing that one game, that the whole season. No one, like, I can ask you next season who we played. You probably won't remember, let alone the score, let alone if we won or lost, let alone who scored. I can ask you next season what the score of the 60 game was and who scored in that, and you'll know. So I think losing becomes a lot scarier when you only have one game that everyone cares about.
I think that mindset is what changed everything for us this year. Because last year we had a shit season. We lost a load of crappy games that we should have won against old ladies in the East League. And so when it came to varsity, we were just about getting ourselves together by the time varsity came around. And it was kind of like, this was our only chance to have a good season, was this one game. If we could win this season, if we could win that one game, the whole season wasn't a waste. Whilst this year we went to varsity and we're going for top of the league this year. We've only lost 2 matches all year. And we were looking at each other going, if we lose varsity, this isn't a dead season. We can still get promoted this season. There's so much more to play for this season. And that like focus change, I think, gave us more freedom on the day. Because we were like, it's just one day.
Would you want to get promoted and play Oxford 3 times a year? Because would that not kind of ruin the thing of like playing them once? Because I look at the women's side of Karufka, and obviously they play 3 times a year against Oxford, and
I'd hate it. Like,
I wouldn't. I think it'd ruin varsity.
I think it would. We wouldn't play them, luckily, because of geographical splits in the league. Okay. So they're in the south or something, and we're in east.
Okay, that's good.
But yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I think it's what makes it special. We almost had to play them twice last year because we got them in Bucks Cup, but they just made it a double fixture. So we only had to play them once.
Because it ruins the mystique of it. Like,
100%.
But there's a whole rake of people,
This year, they got spanked the first time. Second time was a bit closer.
But because
you kind of know at least slightly how it's going to go.
And you also know how
we had no idea. If you told me 46 I would have bitten your arm.
Because we were literally entering the unknown. We didn't know what they would be like.
Yeah.
And then it was our first game together as a 15 and a 23.
Yeah.
Like, we'd never played together as a 15, which I think like varsity is just an opportunity as well. And like I think if you go in the mindset where like if we win, this is going to be unreal. But if we lose, like obviously it's terrible, but in perspective, as Sarah said earlier,
you lose together.
Yeah. And it's like there's people you play with, and like we've got that. So you've got 16 girls who are involved in your win. We've got 23 lads. Yeah. We've got that when we come back.
25, mate.
25.
Gareth and Booker.
Big shout out.
But like, and when we come back in 20 years, and we'll have that. I think that's what makes it so special, really.
So I've got a question for you, Saz, and potentially you as well, Rachel. You were saying last week about how you were feeling a bit, overwhelmed by your varsity and stuff. Yeah. I think now you could probably... Is your season actually officially wrapped up?
No, 3 more
okay.
games.
Regardless, this is probably your best season of hockey you've ever had.
Yeah, no doubt.
Is it your best season of hockey you've
Definitely
ever had?
Definitely club hockey, yeah.
Okay, club hockey, yeah.
Do you play international?
Yeah, I'm not
international. Nice.
That's pretty sick. But why do you think this has been your best season of hockey ever then? What changes have you made, or how have stars aligned for it to be that way?
I go first?
I think it's the group of girls. I think, like, I rolled in last year and we've had almost the same group of girls. We've lost a couple, 2, 3, kind of players that were part of our core squad. And I think going through what we went through last year, we learned so much, because I think a lot of the thing about university teams is you don't have some like 30-year-old playing at the back who's seen it all before and can calm the team down and speed them up and manage the momentum. And I think in university teams that can lead you to be quite inconsistent. We were really inconsistent last year, and I think having been through that, we all learned a lot and all became players that could manage that, and we all got invested in that. We love our coach and we do anything for pricing, for ads. But I think it was that we all kind of invested in each other, that we all bought into the idea that this was our team and we love our team and we wanted to play together. And I think that's what's made the biggest difference, what we said about it being a very untoxic team. That has really helped. Like when me and Sarah turn up at training, no matter what kind of mood we're in, when we see each other, we just want to play and we just want to get out there and play together. And that makes the difference for me anyway, on a miserable Monday or whatever it is.
Big time.
So that's the team answer. Do you have an individual answer?
Well, I massively agree on the team thing. And I think I guess a little bit more from that is that I feel like I've done a different year of hockey every year. So I played in the 3rd team in my first year, then 2 years of playing 2s, and then last year was my first year playing blues, and I just wanted to make the team, to be frankly honest, let alone like actually enjoy the season. And I think every year I've had something, either the hockey could have been better or the vibes in the team could have been better. And this is like the highest standard of hockey that I can play at university. And it was the best possible performances we could possibly put out. And I literally have 0 regrets for the whole of this year. Like, and that feeling that you've done everything you possibly can And those are that's knowing that that's your full potential. And our full potential is pretty sick. Like some of the results we've come out with, some of the wins we've had, that feeling kind of is unreal, and it teaches you a lesson and motivates you more for just general life, because you're like, the more I put in, the more I'll get out, and this is proof and evidence. And so I feel like I'm peaked. I'm really don't know what next year is going to bring.
It's all downhill from here.
Yeah, we really need to be promoted, otherwise I'm like, what am I going to do with my life?
Yeah, you're on Elysium. The only way is down now.
Well,
I don't think that's true.
No, it's just
It gets harder when you're on
yeah,
top.
it gets
but
harder.
Yeah.
You can
I
keep going.
I don't know.
Absolutely keep going.
Yesterday I was like, fuck, man. That might have been the
And first
3-day
year as well,
hangover.
mate. Oh.
Yeah.
that just
I
sounds
was
a bit
like,
of
oh
anxiety.
man. I was like 46-0. It doesn't,
how are you
I was
going to
like-
top that? Like next year, is it just going to feel like a
That's what I mean.
disappointment?
Yeah, but then I watched Kobe Bryant videos and I was like, job ain't done, man.
You know what it's like this? I'm going to bring in a mathematics teaching reference.
Yeah.
Okay.
She loves maths, by the way.
That's my life. Have you seen in curves, like, curves, whatever, you get local maximums. So it like reaches a peak and comes down, but that's not the biggest the curve ever reached. We call it the local maximum. It's the best it does around there. So I think once you've had a big day like we've all had, you've got to come down at some point. That doesn't mean we're not going back up and we're going to peak higher than we ever did. It just means we can't be this good all the time, because there'd be no fun in that.
Yeah.
That's actually a
Job ain't
wonderful
done.
analogy. Yeah, really, really good.
And that's why we should all use maths in our day-to-day lives.
That's
Why
not-
not?
that's
Mate,
not-
I wish I
that's not
could. I wish I could.
true.
I like winning. I've decided that now, having experienced it for the first time. I want to know how we keep this a consistent thing. How do we leave something for the next group of people coming along so that they can learn how to win a varsity?
I've got a very instant answer to this, and it's Owen messaged us yesterday to our group chat and said, now that we've all got back from our high, or like got off our high, emotionally, I'd like to make that legally clear. What did we do well? Like what, like focusing on it, what do we actually do well? And so we're compiling a bit of a list so that, touch wood, some of us won't be playing next year either. You're in the retirement home like Ollie, or you might be moving on to bigger things. Like, definitely some of the players will play for the Blues. But you want to leave like a list of things that really went well. And it's not as simple as like Jordan catching ball running fast. Like that's not going to help anyone. Unless Jordan's playing 60s next year, in which case we'll know how to give him the ball and run fast. It's more like, how do we stay calm on the day? How do we approach the build up? Was it that 60s session that we did beforehand as like a unit that went through, which I thought was really helpful. So I think one of the ways is making a list of things that culminated or like helped massively towards the win, and making sure that those lads who play next year, and the coaches will probably take them again, I'm assuming, I don't know how it works next year, will know what went well for us and try and replicate that next year. I think that's one way. I think that would work well.
I think it's belief in general, like throughout the whole uni, like with sport. Because I think in the past we had the attitude where like, we'll turn up on the day, we'll try our best, but like we can win. Like we're very good in like hockey, rugby, like the people who've got football on the weekend, like they're confident they can do the job. And I think that's what we like, because Oxford are arrogant.
Yeah, they
like
do
very, very arrogant. And I think when it's like, when you're entering the final quarter of a match, like that belief is what you need. And whether that belief is like, whether it's right for you to have that belief, doesn't matter. But I think if we can believe as a uni in general, and I think more results will come. Because last year was an awful year.
Yeah, it was. And
Like,
it's crazy how it's flipped.
Netball lost Blues, hockey lost, rugby lost, football lost.
Yeah.
And then it's just, we've turned it literally on its head.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
hopefully the boys and girls can do the job on the football on Sunday, and then the rugby the week after. But
Don't forget Aussie rules.
and then AFL. Shout out
Your
Danny
man
High, Joe
Hydo.
Price.
Yeah, let's go Hydo.
I'm a bit more pragmatic about it, and I'll say that if there was actually an answer, right, we would have a better formula for continuing to win these weirdly done varsity matches. Obviously, in professional sport, there are answers. Money talks is one of the things, and you could say that, but I think what I would say then is, given that there isn't an answer and there isn't a way that, one needs just crack the formula for winning varsities every year, which isn't true. You look at any sport and like greyhounds to 60s, like 37, 33 now is pretty close. I'm sure hockey's the same. Make sure that the season itself is a victory. And by that, I don't just mean, rack up wins, but be process oriented. Like if you're not enjoying the season and you're building up to this one match, that means absolutely everything. And if I remember you saying three weeks ago, in 3 weeks we'll know whether our season was a success or a failure. That is true. But don't lose twice. Don't lose by putting not enjoying the process on the way there, and say you do lose on the day, and having invested all your heart, soul, life, blood, sweat, tears into it, then all of a sudden, like, what the hell do you do about that? At least if you do lose on the day, and I'm not going to say that now that the 60s have beaten them 46-0, it's the start of 10 in a row, but could be, which would be nice. But there will be losses on the day to come. At least you've had that year to cherish it in any case. Because really, like, as you were saying, Rachel, it's not just that one day, is it? Don't make it so that it's that one day, is it? Because then if you win or lose, you've actually lost twice. At the very minimum, win once, and that's the thing you can control.
But I do think the idea of passing something practical on, I think, is quite nice. Because I think otherwise we rely on the players who are still there and can remember to pass on. And if it's like it was for us last year, where we have we have 1-2 players who had won a varsity before, and they're trying to relay all the information they have. Yeah. Well, I think it'd be quite nice if we could leave a legacy of, here are the messages we took to varsity, and we think that was important, that we can pass on to whoever comes after us. Maybe it is nice to start some sort of tradition like that, like a book or something where you pass on a message or whatever it is, just something that this knowledge doesn't get lost, that this wisdom that we've earned doesn't just fizzle away and someone has to relearn this lesson in 10 years time.
Exactly.
I think that is part of the foot. Like very often a first is followed by a second. We know what second is followed by. But like you very rarely see just one blot in the copybook of one varsity win. Usually it's Oxford win 4 or 5, Cambridge win 2 or 3, Oxford win 2 or 3, Cambridge win 5 or 6.
And they get complacent and they're down.
Yeah, or you have people who have done it and won it.
Yeah.
And that makes a hell of a difference. Like, I wasn't nervous on Saturday. And I guarantee, say you played, obviously, hopefully you play Blues next year. I think you deserve to, but say you play 60s, you're welcome, mate. Or you're not welcome. I don't know, maybe you're 60s till you die, like this man here.
Yeah, go on.
I guarantee you'll be less nervous next year.
Yeah.
Obviously, if you're playing Twickenham, that's a different ballgame. But having been there, done it, won it, it gets rid of this varsity beast, because it is this, varsity, it's like a taboo word almost until you actually do it. You do it, you win it, it becomes tangible and therefore compressible. And I think that it's a massive thing for helping with nerves.
Thanks.
On the sort of more liberal side of varsity celebrations, anything you can tell us about the fallout? Obviously, that's transmissible, that's not the word. Broadcastable.
Well, we had the mashed potato incident.
Yeah, just no.
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 Yeah, that's anything you need to know.
It's not PC. Don't want it out there.
None of it?
No.
Wow, okay.
It's a closed door event.
Pity?
Yeah, it was good fun, wasn't it? So we got changed like after the match into like our nice ones. So we look presentable at least.
Not straight away.
Oh yeah, no. yeah, whoops.
The moth.
And then so some
That's
people
not making the edit.
And then yeah, we had a great night on Saturday, and then we'd an early start in Spoons the next morning.
9 a.m. 9:30.
9:30.
In full kit. And then we did Lola's in full kit. And
oh mate, you've skipped a massive chunk.
yeah, because
Tigers and the Jags.
Sorry, Tigers and the Jags. Yes, we sang a
Super
bit of Piano Man.
60s Shandy Sunday.
But I think that's the memories you take, because the match can be a bit of a blur. I think we can all agree. But it's the days after. It's like after it on Saturday, Sunday was great fun, and even Monday when I was still in my full kit pottering around the centre of Cambridge.
That was quite good, yeah.
Like that's what you remember and you take.
Penthouse for a couple
Funny
of
you
hours.
say that. Our game's on YouTube and I've watched it 5 times already. So
Really?
Exactly.
I haven't watched it yet.
I'll have to give it a watch.
No, I need to give it a watch.
It's so fun. The men's game as well is hilarious to watch, because the commentators have had a couple of drinks by then, because it's like 4 p.m. and they're like my friends from last year or a few years ago. So it's quality.
What was the score in the men's game?
2-2, went to shuffles, won on shuffles. It was amazing.
Yeah,
It was a
man.
great game.
It's probably one of the
It's gonna be.
happiest days of my life.
Yeah.
Same.
Well, it was our captain's
exactly. That's how you
birthday.
remember it.
So I
Yeah.
was looking at her as she was going up the steps to get sprayed with champagne, and everyone was singing happy birthday to her, and I thought, how are you going to top this?
Yeah.
That's it really, isn't
Yeah.
it? Shout out to Jem.
Finney, how do you feel about leaving Crocker behind for a year?
I think that's what made this year even more important, because I said, it's like we lost last year, and I got concussed in the match. I didn't remember the game, but then I remember in the days after, I was like, that isn't happening again, and I set that goal, so I think that was why this weekend was so special. So that's why I'm like looking forward to my year abroad, really. And I said to, who did I say it to? I said, because like my dad was there and my sister, I was like, if we lost today and I went on a year abroad, that would be awful. But like, it's like a closed chapter. Best year of my life, rugby wise. Saturday, probably the best day of my life. And this weekend, probably the best weekend of my life. And now keep enjoying that high and then ride off into the sunset, then come back for fourth year.
Yeah,
So,
that'll be reopened 4th year.
Yeah.
Big time.
And who knows how Croft will look then?
Who knows, eh? Who knows?
Who knows? We'll still be kicking around now.
Ollie will be back for a PhD or something like that.
Most likely. Still in the existential crisis.
Okay, I feel like I have to wrap us up because there's about 15 boys outside just like wanting to come in. So I hope you enjoyed hearing about the rugby varsity and the hockey varsity. It's been a great week for everyone. So
Big time.
good luck to all the teams that have still got their varsities coming up. I hope to hear about more wins.
Yeah. Might have a little footballer on.
Yeah,
next
I'm
week.
still keen for an ice hockey person to
And
come
an
on.
ice hockey one because they had theirs.
They've won 5 years consecutively. I need to sit them down
Yeah.
and like get a list.
Yeah,
'cause that's
The,
like
the woman
the
lot?
st-
the men.
The men.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, cool. Peace out, guys. Enjoy life.